When my daughter Rebecca rolled her eyes and told the nurse that I was just a dramatic old woman who calls 911 for attention before walking out of Mercy General Hospital's emergency room, leaving me alone with chest pains at 2 a.m., she had no idea she was abandoning Margaret Hartwell, the anonymous founder of the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust, a $127 million financial foundation that had been quietly funding her mortgage payments, her children's private school tuition, her husband's struggling law practice, and whose quarterly distributions had enabled her comfortable suburban lifestyle for the past 15 years. All while she dismissed me as an elderly hypochondriac who needs to stop bothering busy people with her imaginary health problems, never knowing that her cruel abandonment would cost her family their financial safety net, destroy her children's educational opportunities, and force them to face the reality that the burdensome old woman they left gasping for breath in a hospital corridor actually controlled every aspect of their economic security and generational wealth. Make sure to hit that like button if you've ever been abandoned by family when you needed them most. Drop a comment about your worst experience with relatives who treated you like you were disposable, and subscribe because you won't believe what happens when ungrateful family members discover that the helpless elderly woman they left at the hospital actually owns their entire financial future. This story begins on November 18, 2023, when what my family assumed was just another fake emergency where Grandma Margaret tries to get attention because she's lonely and bored in that little apartment, turned out to be a massive heart episode that would reveal not only my genuine medical crisis, but also the sophisticated financial empire that I had been operating in secret 38 years, while my ungrateful children and grandchildren dismissed me as a confused elderly woman whose greatest accomplishment was remembering to take her medications correctly. The modest one-bedroom senior living apartment in Riverside Sunset Manor, where I've lived for the past 12 years, appears to visiting family members as exactly what you'd expect from a retired elementary school secretary who depends on Social Security and occasional family financial assistance to cover basic living expenses like prescription medications, grocery bills, and the monthly assisted living fees that my daughter Rebecca grudgingly helps pay while constantly reminding me that elderly care is expensive and families have to make sacrifices to support aging relatives who didn't save enough for retirement. My daily routine, as observed by my children during their increasingly brief and dutiful monthly visits, perfectly reinforces every assumption about limited resources and technological helplessness that prevents elderly people from understanding modern financial markets and investment strategies. They see me clipping coupons at my small kitchen table each Sunday morning, organizing them in a recipe box that my late husband, and carefully planning grocery shopping trips around senior citizen discount days and promotional sales that suggest someone whose financial decisions revolve around saving 37 cents on generic medications and marked-down produce. The 2008 Toyota Corolla that I drive, with its faded burgundy paint from California sun exposure and the slight scrape on the passenger door from a minor parking lot encounter 2 years ago, reinforces Rebecca and David's comfortable assumption that I'm living on the financial margins while depending on family assistance for major expenses like automotive repairs, medical bills, and emergency situations that exceed my supposed limited budget and technological understanding. What my children see during their obligatory visits is exactly what I've cultivated since Harold's death 14 years ago, a sweet but slightly overwhelmed elderly woman who struggles with smartphones, needs help understanding insurance paperwork that grows more complicated every year, and whose greatest social activities involve volunteering at the Riverside Public Library's senior reading program and organizing potluck dinners with other retired educators who share stories about the good old days when students showed respect and families stayed together. The image of gentle Grandma Margaret, with her sensible shoes from Payless and reading glasses that she constantly misplaces around her small apartment, has served me perfectly in maintaining privacy while protecting the financial empire that Rebecca and David have never suspected, determines their mortgage payments, their children's educational opportunity, and their ability to maintain the comfortable middle-class lifestyle that they assume reflects their own professional success and financial management skills, rather than systematic assistance from sources they've never imagined. The senior living apartment that Rebecca dismisses as barely adequate for an elderly woman who needs simple accommodations actually serves as my private command center for operations that extend far beyond retirement activities and community volunteer. The modest living room with its cheerful displays of family photos, Rebecca's college graduation from UC Irvine, David's wedding in San Diego, grandchildren, I see during major holidays when family obligations require their parents to demonstrate appropriate intergenerational respect, conceals sophisticated financial coordination systems where I manage investment, oversee trust fund distributions across 4 family branches, and direct the wealth management networks that have made me one of Southern California's most influential but invisible financial benefactors. The family photos themselves tell a carefully curated story of a grandmother whose greatest pride comes from her successful children who've made something of themselves in the modern world, despite their humble beginnings, as the children of an elementary school secretary and a municipal water department supervisor. Rebecca's business degree from UC Irvine hangs in a modest frame, next to David's engineering certification from Cal Poly Pomona, both positioned where visitors can see them immediately upon entering my living room. These displays reinforce the narrative that I'm an elderly relative whose vicarious pride in family accomplishments represents the closest she'll ever come to understanding the business and financial worlds that her educated children navigate with such impressive expertise and professional sophistication. What Rebecca and David have never suspected is that the modest lifestyle, occasional requests for assistance with technology, aren't because I'm incapable of understanding modern financial markets and investment strategies. I created most of the systems that fund their comfortable lifestyle and protect their financial security. The sophisticated wealth management infrastructure hidden throughout my senior living apartment represents 38 years of systematic financial development, designed to maintain complete operational effectiveness while protecting my privacy and enabling the kind of long-term strategic planning that requires absolute separation between my public identity as a confused retiree and my professional role as founder and principal director of one of California's most sophisticated family financial support organizations. Behind the false panel in my bedroom closet, accessible through a biometric scanner disguised as Harold's old jewelry box, a wooden case he crafted in 1979 for our 25th wedding anniversary, lies a command center with enterprise-grade technology that rivals what major family offices use for their most sophisticated wealth management and beneficiary oversight operations. The multiple monitor displays show real-time data streams from investment markets throughout North America and Europe, including portfolio performance analytics, beneficiary spending pattern analysis, and family character assessment indicators that determine which relatives receive continued financial support and which face systematic reduction or elimination of trust fund benefits. The quantum encrypted communication systems that connect me to investment advisors, estate planning attorneys, and family office coordinators throughout Southern California operate on secure networks that institutional wealth managers use for high net worth family coordination and generational wealth transfer planning. The investment analysis algorithms that process over others in daily market transactions, while identifying portfolio optimization opportunities, risk management strategies, and wealth preservation indicators, provide the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust with competitive advantages worth millions of dollars in strategic decision-making, and market timing, enables consistent portfolio growth while maintaining the financial resources necessary to support multiple family branches across decades of economic transitions and market volatility. But perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of my hidden financial operations is the family character assessment system that evaluates how beneficiaries treat elderly relatives, demonstrate family loyalty, and contribute to intergenerational family stability as primary indicators of their continued eligibility for trust fund distributions and inheritance consideration. This system, which I personally designed after observing how traditional estate planning focused only on bloodline relationships and legal obligations, while ignoring character traits that determine family cohesion and generational continuity, analyzes family interaction patterns, elderly care decisions, and crisis response indicators to create comprehensive character profiles that determine which relatives deserve continued financial support and which have demonstrated moral failures that justify benefit reduction or complete financial independence. The Hartwell Family Emergency Trust operates as a vertically integrated wealth management and family support organization that controls every aspect of beneficiary assistance, from initial need assessment and financial planning through ongoing support coordination to long-term character monitoring and inheritance planning that ensures generational wealth transfers only to family members who demonstrate values worthy of financial stewardship and family leadership across economic transitions and social changes. Our trust structures carefully designed to maintain both operational security and legal compliance across multiple California jurisdictions, include 17 subsidiary accounts that provide specialized services to family members, charitable organizations, educational institutions, and community development initiatives throughout Riverside County and extending into Orange County and San Bernardino County communities, where family members have established careers and raised their children with support from systems they've never suspected existed beneath their grandmother's humble retirement lifestyle. The primary investment division of our trust fund operations houses the portfolio management and market analysis infrastructure that has generated consistent returns exceeding 12% annually for 38 consecutive years, building wealth through strategic stock selection, real estate investment, commodity trading, and international market participation that enabled a starting investment in 1985 to grow into the $127 million portfolio that currently provides financial security and opportunity for 4 family branches, while maintaining sufficient reserve capital to weather economic downturns and support emergency needs across multiple generations. The diversified investment strategy that guides all Hartwell Family Trust portfolio decisions incorporates risk management protocols, market volatility hedging, and economic trend analysis that protects principal value while generating income streams sufficient to support family member needs, including mortgage assistance, educational funding, medical emergency coverage, and the specialized financial coordination that helps working families achieve economic stability and generational wealth building that enables children and grandchildren to pursue educational and professional opportunities that might otherwise remain beyond their financial reach. The Family Support Division of our trust operations provides comprehensive assistance coordination for all approved beneficiaries, including emergency medical bill coverage, educational scholarship administration, small business startup funding, and the specialized character monitoring that maintains family standards, while building financial literacy and wealth management skills that enable beneficiaries to contribute to family prosperity while maintaining the moral foundation necessary for sustainable financial relationships and intergenerational trust fund stewardship that honor both individual achievement and collective family welfare. The beneficiary services that our trust provides include financial planning consultation, investment education, estate planning guide, and crisis intervention support that helps family members navigate economic challenges while building character and demonstrating loyalty that qualifies them for continued trust fund benefits and potential inheritance consideration. The programming that we offer through partnerships with financial advisors, family counsel, and educational institutions provides beneficiaries with knowledge and skills that enable sustainable prosperity while maintaining family connections and elderly respect that preserves trust fund eligibility and inheritance potential. But the most strategically important aspect of our operations is the character assessment and behavior monitoring network that tracks family member interactions, elderly care decisions, and crisis response patterns to identify relatives whose values and actions align with trust fund principles versus those whose character deterioration threatens their continued eligibility for financial support and inheritance consideration. This monitoring system, coordinated through discrete observation and family interaction analysis, provides early warning indicators of moral failures while offering intervention opportunities that address character challenges before they require more severe consequences that might disrupt family harmony and financial security. The relationships I've developed with investment advisors, estate planning attorneys, and wealth management professionals over 38 years of strategic financial coordination provide the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust with expertise and market access that enables sophisticated portfolio management and beneficiary support while maintaining privacy and operational security that protects family members from knowledge that might compromise their character development or create dependency relationships that could undermine their personal growth and professional achievement. The investment philosophy that guides all trust fund operations emphasizes sustainable growth, risk management, and generational wealth preservation that serves family needs, while building character and moral foundation necessary for continued financial stewardship and family leadership. The policies that govern trust fund distributions require ongoing demonstration of family loyalty, elderly respect, and personal responsibility that maintains trust fund integrity, while providing beneficiaries with opportunities to earn continued support through character demonstration and family contribution that honors both individual achievement and collective welfare. The sophisticated intelligence capabilities that I coordinate through partnerships with family counseling organizations, community leaders, and professional networks enabled the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust to identify and prevent systematic family disruption from external influences, manipulative relationship, and character-corrupting factors that threaten beneficiary eligibility, while providing intervention opportunities that protect family unity and trust fund mission through appropriate support and guidance that addresses challenges before they require more serious consequences or benefit elimination. The academic and professional development partnerships that I maintain with financial planning organizations, estate law firm, and family office management companies provide theoretical foundations for our practical innovations in character-based wealth transfer and values-centered beneficiary selection. The specialists and consultants who contribute to our family support strategies through professional consulting agreements have no idea that their work contributes to a privately owned family trust fund, believing instead that they're participating in research projects funded by anonymous foundation grants and family development initiative. The emergency room visit that would expose the devastating gap between my family's assumptions about my helplessness and the reality of my hidden financial authority began at 1:47 a.m., when crushing chest pain and difficulty breathing forced me to call 911 from my Sunset Manor apartment, triggering the kind of genuine medical crisis that reveals character, family priorities, and the difference between people who honor their obligations during emergencies versus those who view elderly relatives as inconvenient burdens, whose needs interfere with their sleep schedules and personal convenience. The chest pain that woke me from restless sleep felt like someone was pressing a heavy weight directly on my sternum, while electrical shooting sensations ran down my left arm and up into my jaw, creating the unmistakable symptoms that every elderly person fears but hopes they'll never experience alone in a senior living apartment at nearly 2 o'clock in the morning when family members are sleeping comfortably in their homes, confident that any emergency calls from Grandma Margaret probably represent another episode of anxiety or attention-seeking, rather than genuine medical crisis requiring immediate family support and hospital advocacy. The 911 call that I made with trembling fingers while struggling to catch my breath lasted 4 minutes and 37 seconds, during which the emergency dispatcher's professional calm helped me describe symptoms, provide medical history, and arrange for ambulance access to my apartment building, while I wondered whether this genuine emergency would finally reveal which family members possessed the character and loyalty necessary for continued trust fund benefits, and which had demonstrated such systematic elderly neglect that they deserved financial independence and inheritance exclusion. The paramedics who arrived 18 minutes after my emergency call, two experienced professionals whose competent assessment quickly determined that I was experiencing a significant cardiac event, requiring immediate hospital transport and emergency department evaluation. Exactly the kind of skilled medical care that I had been funding for my family through comprehensive health insurance coverage and emergency medical expense assistance that they assumed reflected their own insurance benefits and employer coverage rather than systematic trust fund coordination, medical crisis preparation. The ambulance ride to Mercy General Hospital provided 23 minutes of severe chest pain, professional medical monitoring, and growing awareness that this medical emergency would serve as the ultimate test of family loyalty and character that would determine not only my immediate care and recovery, but also the future financial security and generational wealth that my children and grandchildren had been taking for granted, while systematically demonstrating the kind of elderly neglect and family betrayal that violated every principle upon which the Family Emergency Trust had been established to support and protect. As the paramedics wheeled me into Mercy General's emergency department at first struggling with chest pain that felt like someone was crushing my ribs, while monitoring equipment beeped steadily, and IV medications began providing some relief from the crushing sensation that had made breathing difficult and terrifying. I had no way of knowing that the next 6 hours would provide comprehensive documentation of family character failures that would justify the most severe financial consequences available through trust fund governance and inheritance restructuring that could transform comfortable assumptions about generational wealth into devastating lessons of respect, loyalty, and the reality that financial security requires demonstration of character worthy of continued family investment and support. The emergency department registration process that followed my arrival revealed the sophisticated medical insurance coordination that I had arranged through trust fund benefit, providing comprehensive coverage that eliminated financial barriers to emergency care while enabling medical staff to focus on diagnosis and treatment rather than insurance verification and payment authorization that might delay critical care during genuine medical emergency. The insurance coverage that made my immediate care possible represented another hidden benefit that my family assumed reflected standard Medicare coverage rather than premium supplemental insurance coordination funded through trust accounts that they had never suspected existed. The medical evaluation that began immediately upon my arrival included cardiac monitoring, blood work analysis, chest X-rays, and the comprehensive assessment protocols that hospital emergency departments use for elderly patients presenting with cardiac symptoms and respiratory distress. The professional medical staff who coordinated my care demonstrated exactly the expertise and dedication that justified the charitable contributions I had been making to Mercy General Hospital through anonymous donations that supported emergency department equipment, staff training, and patient care programs that benefited community members who needed emergency medical services during crisis situations that tested both medical systems and family support networks. But as I lay on the emergency department examination table connected to monitoring equipment and waiting for test results that would determine whether I was experiencing a heart attack, stroke, or other serious medical condition, I was also conducting my own evaluation of family character and crisis response that would determine which relatives deserved continued financial support and which had demonstrated such systematic failure in elderly care and family loyalty that they required immediate trust fund benefit, elimination, and inheritance exclusion that could transform their comfortable assumptions about financial security into harsh education about respect, character, and family obligation. The emergency contact list that Mercy General Hospital's registration staff accessed from my insurance records revealed the carefully constructed family support network that I had established over decades of relationship building and character assessment. Rebecca's phone number appeared first as my primary emergency contact, followed by David's information as secondary contact, and my grandson Michael's number as tertiary backup, a prioritization system that reflected not their actual reliability or character quality, but rather my strategic need to test family response patterns during genuine crisis situations that would reveal authentic priorities and moral foundation. The 2:47 a.m. phone call that hospital staff made to Rebecca's home in Corona del Mar would initiate the most comprehensive character assessment that any family member had ever undergone, providing real-time documentation of crisis response patterns, elderly care commitment, and family loyalty demonstration that would determine not only my immediate medical advocacy and recovery support, but also the long-term financial security and inheritance eligibility that had been quietly shaping their comfortable lifestyle for decades without their knowledge or appreciation. Rebecca's response to the hospital's emergency notification would reveal everything about her true character and family priorities that I needed to finalize trust fund restructuring and inheritance planning decisions that had been developing for months as I observed increasingly problematic patterns in family interaction, elderly care attitudes, and the systematic taking for granted of financial support that they assumed reflected their own professional success rather than carefully coordinated assistance from sources they had never suspected or acknowledged. What neither Rebecca nor David understood as they received emergency phone calls, disrupting their comfortable Saturday night sleep, was that Margaret Hartwell, the confused elderly woman they visited monthly out of dutiful obligation, while constantly emphasizing their busy schedules and important responsibilities, actually represented one of Southern California's most sophisticated wealth management and family financial coordination operations. Built through 38 years of strategic investment and market analysis that had transformed a modest elementary school secretary's salary into generational wealth capable of supporting multiple family branches while maintaining complete operational secrecy and privacy protection. The public identity that I had carefully maintained since Harold's death in 2009 served multiple strategic purposes that extended far beyond simple privacy protection. The modest lifestyle and technological helplessness that my children observed during their brief visits enabled comprehensive character assessment and family relationship monitoring that revealed authentic priorities, genuine value, and moral foundation, strength that determined eligibility for continued financial support and inheritance consideration based on demonstrated character rather than blood relationship or legal obligation alone. My daily routine at Sunset Manor, as documented through careful observation and community interaction, reinforced every assumption about limited resources and age-related vulnerability that prevented family members from suspecting the sophisticated financial operations that I conducted through secure networks and advanced technology systems hidden throughout my seemingly humble senior living apartment. The morning walks through the residential gardens, afternoon activities in the community center, and evening television viewing in my small living room created the perfect cover for wealth management activities that required absolute privacy and operational security. The volunteer work that I performed 3 days weekly at Riverside Public Library's Senior Literacy Program provided excellent cover for regular trips outside Sunset Manor, while enabling community service that built relationships with other elderly residents and library staff who knew me as a dedicated volunteer rather than a financial strategist managing multi-million-dollar investment portfolios and family support operations. The library computer access that I used for email and simple internet browsing actually provided secure connection points for encrypted financial communications and market analysis that supplemented the sophisticated equipment hidden in my apartment. The church attendance that formed a central part of my weekly routine at Riverside Community Methodist provided spiritual foundation and community connection while reinforcing the image of a devout elderly woman whose greatest concerns involved prayer requests for family members and charitable giving within her modest financial limitations. The congregation members who knew me as faithful Margaret Hartwell had no idea that the anonymous donation supporting their building maintenance fund
youth programs, and community outreach initiatives came from trust accounts that I managed through discreet, charitable giving coordination. The medical appointments that Rebecca occasionally drove me to when her schedule permitted created opportunities for family interaction, assessment, while maintaining the facade of age-related health concerns and technological confusion that prevented independent healthcare navigation. The medical care that I received through comprehensive insurance coverage and concierge medical services represented another hidden benefit funded through trust accounts that enabled optimal health management, while my family assumed I was struggling with Medicare limitation and fixed-income healthcare challenges. The grocery shopping trips that I made twice weekly using my modest Toyota Corolla provided cover for complex logistics coordination that included secure document management, encrypted communication device maintenance, and the kind of operational security protocols that protected trust fund operation while enabling community integration and normal elderly lifestyle maintenance. The carefully selected coupons and discount shopping patterns that my family observed reinforced assumptions about financial limitation while enabling sophisticated budget management and expense tracking that maintained operational coverage.
The prescription medication management that caused my family such concern about my declining cognitive abilities actually represented carefully coordinated health optimization protocols developed through consultation with geriatric specialists and preventive medicine experts, whose services accessed through comprehensive healthcare coverage that my family assumed was basic Medicare supplementation rather than premium medical concierge services funded through trust account coordination and advanced healthcare planning. But perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of my dual identity maintenance was the systematic financial dependency performance that convinced my children they were providing essential support for my survival and basic needs. The monthly assistance that Rebecca provided for living expenses exceeds Social Security benefits, and David's occasional contributions for emergency repairs and medical expenses actually represented character assessment opportunities that tested their willingness to support elderly family members while enabling me to document family relationship patterns, determined, continued trust fund eligibility and inheritance consideration. The family financial planning discussions that occurred during holiday gatherings and birthday celebrations provided excellent intelligence about my children's actual financial situations, spending priorities, and resource management capabilities, while revealing their assumptions about my limited understanding of modern financial markets and investment strategies. The advice that they offered about appropriate elderly financial management and age-appropriate investment strategies demonstrated how completely they misunderstood both my actual financial sophistication and their own dependence on trust fund support that enabled their comfortable middle-class lifestyle. The estate planning conversations that Rebecca periodically initiated about making sure your affairs are in order, protecting your assets for family inheritance, revealed her assumptions about inheritance entitlement, while providing opportunities to assess her character development and family loyalty demonstration that would determine actual inheritance eligibility and trust fund distribution planning. The concern that she expressed about preserving family wealth demonstrated complete ignorance of the actual wealth involved and the character requirements that governed its distribution. The technology assistance that David provided during family visits, helping with smartphone setting, explaining internet banking, and demonstrating social media platforms, enabled him to feel helpful and competent while reinforcing assumptions about my technological limitations that protected operational security for financial management systems that required advanced cybersecurity protocols and sophisticated encryption technology far beyond his professional experience and technical knowledge. The emergency contact arrangements that I had established with Sunset Manor's management team, Riverside County Emergency Services, and Mercy General Hospital's Patient Advocacy Department provided comprehensive crisis response coordination while maintaining character assessment protocols that would document family response patterns during genuine medical emergencies that tested authentic priorities versus convenient assumptions about elderly care obligations and family loyalty commitment. Behind the carefully maintained facade of modest retirement living and age-related vulnerability lay the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust, a financial empire that had been built through decades of strategic investment, market analysis, and wealth accumulation that enabled one of Southern California's most sophisticated family support operations, while maintaining complete privacy and operational security that protected both family relationships and financial assets from external threats and internal character failure. The trust structure that I had designed through consultation with premier estate planning attorneys and wealth management specialists incorporated multiple layers of beneficiary protection, character assessment protocols, and inheritance planning flexibility that ensured generational wealth transfer only to family members who demonstrated values worthy of financial stewardship and moral foundation, capable of maintaining family prosperity across economic transitions and social changes that might otherwise threaten financial security and family unity. The investment philosophy that guided trust fund operations emphasized sustainable growth through diversified portfolio management that included domestic and international equity investments, real estate development projects, commodity trading positions, and alternative investment strategies that generated consistent returns while protecting principal value against inflation, market volatility, and economic disruption that could threaten long-term financial security and beneficiary support capability. The $127 million portfolio that formed the foundation of our family financial security had been built from an initial investment of $47,000 in 1985, representing Harold's life insurance proceeds, and our modest retirement savings that I transformed through strategic market participation, investment discipline that averaged 12.3% annual returns over 38 consecutive years of wealth building and financial growth that enabled comprehensive family support while maintaining sufficient reserve capital for emergency situations and economic downturn. The diversified investment strategy that protected and grew our family wealth included blue-chip dividend stocks that provided steady income streams, growth-oriented technology investments that captured market expansion opportunity, real estate investment trusts that generated rental income and property appreciation, international market exposure that provided currency diversification and global economic participation, and alternative investments, including precious metals and commodity futures, that hedged against inflation and economic uncertainty. The professional investment management that coordinated trust fund operations included partnerships with premier wealth management firms, estate planning attorneys, tax specialists, and family office coordinators who provided expertise and market access while maintaining strict confidentiality protocols that protected family privacy and operational security. The annual investment review meetings that I attended in downtown Los Angeles, Newport Beach, and Century City occurred during medical appointments and library volunteer coordination that provided perfect cover for sophisticated financial planning and portfolio management activity. The quarterly beneficiary distributions that supported my family's lifestyle and financial security were carefully structured to appear as pension payments, insurance settlement, and modest inheritance distributions, rather than ongoing trust fund benefits that required character demonstration and family loyalty maintenance. The monthly mortgage assistance that enabled Rebecca's Corona Del Mar home ownership appeared as emergency family support rather than systematic housing assistance that depended on continued character assessment and elderly care demonstration. The educational funding that provided private tuition for my grandchildren appeared as scholarship opportunities and academic grants rather than trust fund benefits that required family values demonstration and character development that honored elderly wisdom while building generational knowledge and cultural continuity. The startup capital that enabled David's consulting business appeared as business loan assistance and professional development investment rather than trust fund financing that depended on continued family loyalty and character assessment. The medical insurance coordination that provided comprehensive healthcare coverage for all family members appeared as employer benefits and group insurance participation, rather than premium healthcare planning funded through trust accounts that ensured optimal medical care while maintaining family health and emergency preparedness. Emergency fund access that provided crisis support during unexpected financial challenges appeared as family assistance programs and community support networks, rather than sophisticated financial planning that protected family security while requiring character demonstration and loyalty assessment. The character monitoring systems that tracked family member behavior patterns, elderly care decisions, and crisis response indicators operated through discrete observation networks, community feedback mechanism, and social interaction analysis that documented authentic character development versus convenient performance during family obligations and social expectations. The assessment protocols that determined continued trust fund eligibility incorporated family interaction quality, elderly respect demonstration, crisis response patterns, and long-term character stability that predicted sustainable family relationships and moral foundation worthy of generational wealth transfer. The crisis intervention protocols that I had developed through consultation with family counseling specialists, elder care experts, and relationship therapists provided early warning systems for character deterioration while offering family members opportunities to address relationship challenges before they required more severe consequences or trust fund benefit elimination. The family education programs that I supported through anonymous funding provided conflict resolution training, elderly care education, and intergenerational communication improvement that helped family members build skills necessary for sustainable relationships and continued trust fund eligibility. As I lay in Mercy General Hospital's emergency department connected to cardiac monitoring equipment and waiting for blood test results that would determine the extent of my medical crisis, I was simultaneously conducting the most important character assessment that any family member would ever undergo. Their response to genuine elderly emergency medical crisis that would reveal authentic priorities versus convenient assumptions about family obligation and elderly care responsibility. The 911 call that I had made at 1:47 a.m. represented not just a medical emergency requiring immediate hospital care, but also the triggering event for comprehensive family character evaluation that would determine the future financial security and inheritance eligibility of every family member based on their crisis response, emergency support demonstration, authentic caring versus convenient excuse-making during genuine health crisis that tested family loyalty and elderly respect commitment. The next 6 hours would provide documentation that would either confirm my family's character worthiness for continued trust fund support and potential inheritance consideration, or justify the most comprehensive financial consequences that any ungrateful relatives had ever experienced through systematic trust fund restructuring and inheritance elimination that could transform comfortable assumptions about generational wealth into devastating education about loyalty and family obligation during crisis situations that reveal authentic character and moral foundation. The sophisticated monitoring systems that I had been operating for nearly 4 decades from within my carefully maintained cover identity at Sunset Manor represented one of the most advanced family character assessment and wealth management operations on the West Coast. Built through systematic development of financial intelligence capabilities, behavioral analysis protocol, and crisis response evaluation frameworks that enabled comprehensive family oversight while maintaining complete operational secrecy and privacy protection that preserved both family relationships and financial security across multiple generations of beneficiaries and economic transition. The quantum encrypted servers humming quietly behind the false wall panel in my bedroom closet, disguised as Harold's vintage woodworking cabinet, that any senior living apartment would contain for storage and sentimental value, processed over Zurich daily financial transactions throughout North America and international markets, while maintaining real-time communication with trust fund management systems, beneficiary monitoring networks, and family character assessment databases that determined financial support eligibility and inheriting consideration,
across 4 family branches and 17 individual beneficiaries, whose lifestyle security depended entirely on systems they had never suspected existed beneath their grandmother's humble retirement lifestyle. The holographic display system that emerged from what appeared to be Harold's old television cabinet provided three-dimensional visualization of investment portfolio performance, family member financial dependency pattern character assessment indicators that enabled me to identify emerging relationship problems 18 months before they became apparent to traditional family counseling approaches and intervention strategies. The system's ability to model complex family dynamics scenarios, including inheritance planning impacts, emergency response protocols, and character rehabilitation effectiveness, gave the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust strategic advantages, worth millions of dollars in predictive family planning and wealth preservation decisions that shaped beneficiary development and financial security across economic transitions and generational changes. The biometric security systems protecting my financial operations center included facial recognition, voice analysis, and DNA verification capabilities that institutional wealth management firms use for their most sophisticated family office operations and high-net-worth client protection protocol. The emergency destruction procedures embedded throughout my senior living apartment could initiate complete data elimination and operational transfer within 47 seconds if unauthorized access was detected, while simultaneously transferring all management control to backup command centers in Newport Beach, Century City, and La Jolla that maintained identical capabilities and could assume full trust fund administration without interrupting beneficiary of support or compromising financial security for family members who depended on quarterly distributions and emergency assistance. But perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of my technological infrastructure was the AI-powered family character assessment system that monitored behavioral patterns, crisis response indicators, and intergenerational respect demonstration as primary predictors of long-term family stability and inheritance worthiness. This system, which I personally designed through consultation with behavioral psychology experts and family dynamic specialists, analyzed communication pattern, emergency response decisions, elderly care priority, and family loyalty demonstration to create comprehensive character profiles that determined eligibility for continued trust fund benefits and potential inheritance consideration based on authentic moral foundation rather than convenient performance during family obligation. The Hartwell Family Emergency Trust operated as California's most sophisticated privately owned family wealth management and character development organization, controlling every aspect of beneficiary support from initial need assessment and financial planning through ongoing character monitoring to long-term inheritance preparation and generational wealth transfer that ensured family prosperity, while maintaining moral standards and character requirements worthy of financial stewardship and family leadership across economic challenges and social transition, carefully designed through consultation with premier estate planning attorneys and family office specialists to maintain both operational efficiency and legal compliance across multiple California jurisdictions. Included 23 subsidiary accounts that provided specialized services to family members, educational institutions, charitable organizations, and community development initiatives throughout Riverside County and extending into Orange County and Los Angeles County communities, where beneficiaries had established careers and built families with support from financial systems they had never recognized or acknowledged. Our primary investment division housed the portfolio management and market analysis infrastructure that had generated consistent returns averaging 12.3% annually for 38 consecutive years, building wealth through strategic equity selection, real estate development, international market participation, and alternative investment strategies that enabled a starting portfolio of $47,000 in 1985 to grow into the $27 million foundation that currently provided financial security and opportunity for multiple family branches, while maintaining sufficient reserve capital to weather economic downturns and support emergency needs across decades of market volatility and economic transitions. The sustainable investment protocols that guided all Hartwell Family Trust portfolio decisions incorporated environmental responsibility, social impact assessment, and corporate governance evaluation that protected long-term value while generating income streams sufficient to support family member needs, including mortgage assistance, educational funding, medical emergency coverage, and the specialized financial coordination that helped working families achieve economic stability and generational wealth building that enabled children and grandchildren to pursue opportunities that might otherwise remain beyond their financial reach. Our Family Support Division provided comprehensive assistance coordination for all approved beneficiaries, including emergency medical bill coverage, educational scholarship administration, small business startup funding, and the specialized character monitoring that maintained family standards, while building financial literacy and wealth management skills that enabled beneficiaries to contribute to family prosperity while maintaining the moral foundation necessary for sustainable financial relationships and intergenerational trust fund stewardship that honored both individual achievement and collective family welfare. The beneficiary services that our trust provided included financial planning consultation, investment education, estate planning guide, and crisis intervention support that helped family members navigate economic challenges while building character and demonstrating loyalty that qualified them for continued trust fund benefits and potential inheritance consideration. The programming that we offered through partnerships with financial advisors, family counselors, and educational institutions provided beneficiaries with knowledge and skills that enabled sustainable prosperity while maintaining family connections and elderly respect that preserved trust fund eligibility and inheritance potential. But the most strategically important aspect of our operations was the character assessment and behavior monitoring network that tracked family member interactions, elderly care decisions, and crisis response patterns to identify relatives whose values and actions aligned with trust fund principles versus those whose character deterioration threatened their continued eligibility for financial support and inheritance consideration. This monitoring system, coordinated through discrete observation and family interaction analysis, provided early warning indicators of moral failures while offering intervention opportunities that addressed character challenges before they required more severe consequences that might disrupt family harmony and financial security. The crisis response protocols that I had developed through decades of family emergency management experience included immediate assessment frameworks, character evaluation criteria, and consequence implementation procedures that ensured appropriate family member accountability while protecting trust fund integrity and maintaining beneficiary support for relatives who demonstrated authentic caring and family loyalty during genuine emergency situations that tested character and revealed authentic priorities versus convenient excuse-making and elderly neglect. The relationships I've developed with investment advisors, estate planning attorneys, and wealth management professionals over 38 years of strategic financial coordination provided the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust with expertise and market access that enabled sophisticated portfolio management and beneficiary support while maintaining complete privacy and operational security that protected family members from knowledge that might compromise their character development or create dependency relationships that could undermine their personal growth and professional achievement. The investment philosophy that guided all trust fund operations emphasized sustainable growth, risk management, and generational wealth preservation that served family needs while building character and moral foundation necessary for continued financial stewardship and family leadership. The policies that governed trust fund distributions required ongoing demonstration of family loyalty, elderly respect, and personal responsibility that maintained trust fund integrity while providing beneficiaries with opportunities to earn continued support through character demonstration and family contribution that honored both individual achievement and collective welfare. The sophisticated intelligence capabilities that I coordinated through partnerships with family counseling organizations, community leaders, and professional networks enabled the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust to identify and prevent systematic family disruption from external influences, manipulative relationships, and character-corrupting factors that threatened beneficiary eligibility, while providing intervention opportunities that protected family unity and trust fund mission through appropriate support and guidance that addressed challenges before they required more serious consequences or benefit elimination. The academic and professional development partnerships that I maintained with financial planning organizations, estate law firm and family office management companies provided theoretical foundations for our practical innovations and character-based wealth transfer and values-centered beneficiary selection. The specialists and consultants who contributed to our family support strategies through professional consulting agreements had no idea that their work contributed to a privately owned family trust fund, believing instead that they're participating in research projects funded by anonymous foundation grants and family development initiatives. The emergency medical crisis that had brought me to Mercy General Hospital at 2:31 a.m. represented the culmination of months of escalating concerns about family character deterioration and the systematic taking for granted of financial support that my children and grandchildren assumed reflected their own professional success rather than carefully coordinated assistance from trust fund operations that required ongoing character demonstration, family loyalty assessment, to maintain continued eligibility, and inheritance consideration. The character assessment data that I had been collecting through discrete observation and family interaction monitoring over the past 18 months had revealed increasingly problematic patterns in Rebecca's attitude toward elderly care obligations. David's prioritization of career advancement over family relationships, and their children's development of entitled expectations about financial support without corresponding demonstration of character development and family responsibility that justified continued trust fund benefits and potential inheritance eligibility. The quarterly family assessment reports that documented interaction, quality, emergency response patterns, and elderly respect demonstration had shown consistent deterioration and family relationship priorities, while financial dependency increased through mortgage assistance, educational funding, and medical insurance coordination that enabled comfortable lifestyle maintenance without acknowledgement of the sophisticated support systems that made their prosperity possible through trust fund operations and wealth management expertise. The crisis intervention opportunities that I had provided through family gathering coordination, holiday celebration, hosting, and birthday recognition events had consistently revealed family members' growing prioritization of convenience and social positioning over elderly respect and loyalty demonstration that honored intergenerational relationships and cultural continuity that provided meaning and stability throughout life transitions and economic challenges. The 2:47 a.m. phone call that Mercy General Hospital's emergency department staff made to Rebecca's Corona Del Mar home would initiate the most comprehensive real-time character assessment that any family member had ever undergone, providing immediate documentation of crisis response priority, emergency support commitment, and authentic caring versus convenient excuse-making during genuine medical emergency that tested family loyalty and elderly respect in ways that revealed fundamental character and moral foundation worthy of continued financial support and inheritance consideration. The call that disrupted Rebecca's comfortable Saturday night sleep represented the moment when theoretical character assessment became practical crisis evaluation that would determine not only my immediate medical advocacy and recovery support, but also the long-term financial security and inheritance eligibility that had been shaping her family's comfortable lifestyle for decades without their knowledge, appreciation, or acknowledgement of the sophisticated systems that enabled their prosperity and opportunity. Rebecca's initial response to the hospital notification would provide the first real-time data point in a comprehensive character evaluation that would document authentic priorities, genuine values, and crisis response patterns that revealed whether she possessed the moral foundation and family loyalty necessary for continued trust fund support, or whether her character had deteriorated to levels that justified immediate financial independence and inheritance exclusion that could transform comfortable assumptions about generational wealth into harsh education about respect, responsibility, and family obligation. The emergency department nurse who made the call, Jennifer Martinez, followed standard protocols for elderly patient emergency contact notification, explaining that Margaret Hartwell had been brought in by ambulance with cardiac symptoms and was currently undergoing evaluation and testing to determine the extent of her medical condition. The professional, compassionate tone that Jennifer used while conveying essential medical information would serve as baseline comparison for Rebecca's response patterns and emotional priorities during family crisis that tested authentic caring versus inconvenience and sleep disruption resent. Mrs. Patterson, this is Jennifer Martinez calling from Mercy General Hospital Emergency Department. Your mother, Margaret Hartwell, was brought in by ambulance about an hour ago with chest pain and difficulty breathing. She's currently stable and undergoing cardiac evaluation, but we wanted to notify her emergency contacts about her hospitalization. She's asked for family support during her evaluation and treat. The 47-second pause that followed Jennifer's notification provided the first documented evidence of Rebecca's crisis response priorities and family loyalty commitment during genuine elderly emergency that required immediate family support and hospital advocacy. The length of silence before response, combined with the background sounds of comfortable home environment disruption, would be analyzed through character assessment protocols that evaluated authentic caring versus resentment about inconvenient family obligations that interfered with personal comfort and sleep schedules. Are you serious right now? Rebecca's initial response revealed fundamental character deterioration and family priority misalignment that demonstrated systematic devaluation of elderly emergency support and genuine medical crisis assistance. The irritation in her voice, combined with the implied questioning of emergency legitimacy, provided comprehensive evidence of character failure that violated every principle upon which the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust had been established to support family members who honored elderly respect and family loyalty during crisis situations. The conversation that followed would provide minute-by-minute documentation of character assessment criteria and family loyalty evaluation that would determine Rebecca's continued eligibility for trust fund benefits and inheritance consideration, based on authentic emergency response versus convenient excuse-making that prioritized personal comfort over elderly care obligation, during genuine medical crisis that revealed fundamental moral foundation and family relationship priority.
Mrs. Patterson, your mother is experiencing a significant cardiac event and has requested family support during her emergency treatment. Can you come to the hospital to provide advocacy and emotional support during her evaluation and potential admission? Jennifer's professional follow-up question created the perfect character assessment opportunity that would reveal whether Rebecca possessed the family loyalty and elderly respect necessary for continued financial support, or whether her priorities had deteriorated to levels that justified immediate consequences and trust fund restructuring. Look, my mother calls 911 at least once a month for imaginary emergencies because she's lonely and wants attention. She's probably having another anxiety attack and making a big dramatic scene to get people to feel sorry for her. Can't you just give her some medication and send her home? I have important meetings tomorrow and I can't stay up all night dealing with another one of her fake medical crises. The systematic character assassination that Rebecca delivered while her elderly mother lay connected to cardiac monitoring equipment in a hospital emergency department, comprehensive documentation of moral failure and family loyalty destruction that justified the most severe financial consequences available through trust fund governance and inheritance restructuring. The dismissal of genuine medical emergency as attention-seeking behavior revealed character deterioration that threatened her continued eligibility for any form of family financial support or consideration. Miss Patterson, I need to be clear that your mother's cardiac symptoms are genuine and require immediate family support and advocacy. Her EKG shows abnormalities consistent with cardiac event, and her blood work indicates elevated cardiac enzymes that suggest heart muscle damage. This is not an anxiety attack or attention-seeking behavior. This is a serious medical emergency that requires family involvement and support. Jennifer's professional correction and medical information clarification created additional character assessment opportunity that would reveal whether Rebecca possessed any capacity for elderly respect and crisis response adaptation when confronted with documented medical evidence of genuine emergency requiring family support and hospital advocacy during potentially life-threatening health crisis that tested fundamental family loyalty and moral foundation. Fine, whatever. I'll come to the hospital, but this better not be another waste of my time like last month when she called an ambulance because she thought she was having a stroke and it turned out to be heartburn from eating too much ice cream. I'm not staying all night, and if this is just another attention-seeking episode, I'm going to have a serious conversation with her about appropriate emergency service usage and the financial burden that unnecessary hospital visits create for families who have to deal with insurance complications and medical billing. The conditional agreement, combined with continued character assassination and threat of elderly confrontation, provided final documentation of moral failure and family loyalty destruction that eliminated any possibility of continued trust fund support or inheritance. Consider dehumanization of elderly medical needs, combined with financial burden resentment, demonstrated character deterioration that justified immediate consequences and comprehensive trust fund restructuring that would transform comfortable assumptions about generational wealth into devastating education about respect, loyalty, and family obligation. The 27 minutes that elapsed between the hospital notification and Rebecca's arrival at Mercy General Hospital's emergency department would provide additional character assessment data through family communication pattern, crisis coordination decisions, and the systematic prioritization of personal convenience over elderly emergency support that revealed authentic priorities and moral foundation during genuine medical crisis that tested family loyalty and character development. During this crucial assessment period, the monitoring systems embedded throughout my trust fund operations would document every aspect of family crisis response while maintaining comprehensive oversight of the character evaluation that would determine the financial security and inheritance eligibility of every family member, their authentic caring versus convenient excuse-making during elderly emergency that revealed fundamental values and moral priorities worthy of continued support and consideration. The relationship between Rebecca and me that would eventually be corrupted by her husband's influence and professional ambitions had begun with genuine love, cultural respect, and the kind of intergenerational bond that creates lasting family strength and community connection. During Rebecca's childhood in the 1980s and early 1990s, when Harold was still alive and our modest riverside home served as the gathering place for extended family celebrations, Rebecca would spend entire weekends with us, learning about family traditions, financial responsibility, and the values of hard work, education, and respect for elderly wisdom that I had hoped would guide her character development throughout her adult life and professional career. Those early years were filled with projects that taught Rebecca practical skills while building our relationship through shared accomplishments and cultural education. Harold would involve Rebecca in home improvement activities, painting the guest bedroom, maintaining the vegetable garden, organizing family photographs that documented our community involvement and financial journey, while I taught her basic financial literacy, household management technique, and the importance of maintaining family connections that linked current generations to their cultural heritage and community roots through responsible resource management and elderly respect. The conversations we shared during Rebecca's formative years revealed her natural intelligence, her curiosity about financial planning and business operations, and her genuine interest in understanding the economic principles that determined which families achieved prosperity and which struggled with financial instability despite their hard work and educational achievement. When Rebecca was 11 years old, she would sit at our kitchen table while I prepared lesson plans for my elementary school classes, asking thoughtful questions about budgeting, saving strategy, and the social systems that helped working families build wealth and community standing over time through careful financial planning and character development. The family values that Harold and I tried to instill during Rebecca's childhood emphasized the importance of intergenerational financial responsibility and the kind of character development that enables people to succeed professionally while maintaining their moral foundation, family loyalty, and community connections that provide meaning and stability throughout life. Transitions and economic challenges. We taught Rebecca that true success required balancing personal achievement with family responsibilities, that elderly wisdom deserved respect and consideration, and that financial prosperity created obligations to support family members and contribute to community welfare, rather than simply accumulating material possessions and social status. The educational support that Harold and I provided during Rebecca's elementary and high school years included homework assistance, college preparation guidance, and the kind of consistent encouragement that helps first-generation college students develop confidence and academic ambition while maintaining cultural identity and family connections. When Rebecca struggled with advanced mathematics during her sophomore year, I spent countless hours helping her understand business and economic concepts, using practical examples from household budgeting and community investment to make abstract principles relevant to real-world applications that she could comprehend and apply to her academic studies and future career plan. The financial literacy education that formed a central part of Rebecca's childhood development included age-appropriate lessons about budgeting, saving, investment basics, and the importance of living within one's means while building wealth through careful resource management and strategic financial planning. Harold and I opened her first savings account when she turned 8 years old, teaching her to contribute a portion of birthday money and allowance earnings, while watching her modest deposits grow through compound interest and regular contribution discipline that demonstrated the power of consistent financial habits and long-term planning strategy. The community service activities that we encouraged Rebecca to participate in throughout her childhood and adolescence included volunteering at senior centers, assisting with church fundraising events, and helping elderly neighbors with grocery shopping and household maintenance that taught her about the dignity and wisdom of aging, while building character through service to others who needed assistance and support. These experiences were designed to develop empathy, responsibility, and respect for elderly community members who had contributed to society throughout their lives and deserved honor and care during their later years. The college preparation process that culminated in Rebecca's acceptance to UC Irvine represented years of academic guidance, financial planning, and character development that enabled her to pursue higher education with confidence, family support, and clear understanding of the sacrifices that Harold and I made to ensure her educational opportunity. The partial scholarship that supplemented our financial contribution came through community organizations and academic achievement recognition that reflected not only her individual capabilities, but also the family foundation and community connections that supported her development and advancement. However, Rebecca's transformation from a respectful young woman who valued family relationships and financial responsibility into someone whose priorities could be systematically corrupted by a husband who viewed elderly family members as obstacles to social advancement had been gradual, increasingly apparent over the past 8 years since she met Daniel Patterson at a Newport Beach networking event for young professionals in marketing and business development. The early signs of character deterioration became apparent during Rebecca's senior year at UC Irvine, when her coursework in business administration and marketing psychology introduced her to contemporary success theories and competitive career preparation programs that gradually convinced her that efficiency and optimization should guide personal relationships just as they determined professional decision-making. Strategic planning that prioritized measurable outcomes over emotional connection, and family continuity that provided meaning and stability throughout life transitions and economic challenges. The internship experiences that Rebecca pursued during her junior and senior years introduced her to corporate environments where success was measured primarily through individual achievement, quarterly performance metrics, and advancement up organizational hierarchies that rewarded personal ambition over collaborative contribution and community involvement that built social capital and mutual support networks. The mentors she encountered in these professional settings consistently emphasized the importance of strategic networking, resource allocation, and calculated relationship management that treated personal connections as career development tools rather than sources of mutual support, cultural learning, and emotional fulfillment that sustained character development and family loyalty. The academic theories that Rebecca absorbed during her business program included economic models that prioritized efficiency over equity, optimization over stability, and individual advancement over community welfare, and intergenerational support that honored elderly wisdom and cultural heritage as valuable guidance rather than obsolete burden that interfered with contemporary lifestyle management and professional advancement opportunities. Her professor, many of whom had limited experience with working-class family businesses or community-based economics, taught Rebecca to evaluate every relationship and commitment according to measurable return on investment and opportunity cost calculations that systematically undervalued the contributions that elderly family members provide through wisdom, emotional support, institutional memory, and cultural knowledge preservation. But perhaps the most damaging aspect of Rebecca's college experience was her systematic misunderstanding of the support systems that enabled her educational success and career preparation. The scholarships that reduced her student loan debt, the internship opportunities that provided practical experience and professional networking, and the career placement services that connected her with promising employment opportunities, all reflected careful coordination through community organizations and financial assistance programs that Harold and I had supported through volunteer work and charitable giving. Though Rebecca interpreted this support as evidence of her individual merit, academic achievement, and professional potential rather than recognizing the institutional assistance that had created her advancement opportunity. The employment opportunity that Rebecca secured immediately after UC Irvine graduation, with Coastal Marketing Solutions, a boutique advertising firm specializing in luxury lifestyle and professional services marketing throughout Orange County, represented exactly the kind of strategic career placement that enabled promising young professionals to gain experience, build industry connection, develop expertise that would benefit both individual career advancement and community economic development throughout Southern California's competitive business markets. The position that seemed perfectly suited to Rebecca's educational background, personal interests, and professional ambitions reflected systematic coordination between community organizations and business networks that provided emerging professionals with career development opportunities that wouldn't normally be available to recent graduates without extensive industry experience and professional network. The training programs, client relationship, and advancement opportunities that enabled Rebecca's rapid progression from entry-level coordinator to account manager represented specialized development that most marketing professionals received only after years of industry experience and competitive achievement. The salary progression that enabled Rebecca to transition from apartment living to homeownership in Corona del Mar reflected commission structures and performance incentives that were possible because her marketing campaigns consistently achieved superior results through access to professional networks, client relationships, and industry expertise that other account managers couldn't replicate without similar community connections and mentorship assistance that Rebecca never recognized as systematic support rather than earned professional advancement, based solely on individual capability and work ethic. The networking opportunities that connected Rebecca with industry leaders, potential client professional development programs, represented strategic relationship building coordinated community business organizations rather than organic career development that demonstrated individual initiative and interpersonal skills. The professional associations, industry conferences, and continuing education programs that enhanced Rebecca's credentials and market knowledge were subsidized through community partnerships and professional development initiatives that most marketing professionals couldn't afford without employer support or personal financial sacrifice. The client relationships that formed the foundation of Rebecca's professional success and commission income reflected introductions and business development coordination through community networks that connected local businesses with marketing professionals
who demonstrated both professional competence, community commitment, that predicted long-term business relationships, and mutual success. The trust and professional credibility that Rebecca earned from clients wasn't simply the result of her individual capabilities and marketing expertise. It reflected the carefully managed business coordination and community reputation that made her clients successful while building their appreciation for her professional services and strategic guidance. However, the most significant factor in Rebecca's career development was meeting Daniel Patterson during a professional networking event at the Balboa Bay Club in Newport Beach, where young professionals in finance, real estate, and business services gathered monthly to build relationships and coordinate business opportunities that supported regional economic development and professional advancement. Daniel's background as a junior partner at Patterson and Associates Investment Management, a wealth advisory firm that served affluent families throughout Orange County, provided him with sophisticated understanding of financial planning, luxury lifestyle management, and the social networking strategies that enabled successful professionals to maintain their status and influence across career transitions and economic changes. Daniel's professional training in investment management and financial planning had taught him to evaluate relationships and commitments according to strategic value, resource optimization, and measurable outcomes that could be leveraged to influence lifestyle advancement and social positioning that aligned with professional objectives rather than emotional fulfillment or family obligation that required time, energy, and financial resources without providing quantifiable returns on investment. His systematic approach to relationship management consistently excluded individuals and activities that couldn't contribute to career advancement or social status enhancement, creating a worldview that prioritized efficiency and strategic positioning over authentic connection and community contribution. The courtship between Rebecca and Daniel that developed over 18 months of professional networking and social activities revealed a worldview that prioritized measurable lifestyle outcomes, strategic social positioning, and career advancement, coordination over relationships, tradition, and the unmeasurable contributions that elderly family members provide through emotional support, historical perspective, and institutional memory that connects current generations to their cultural heritage and community roots. Daniel's influence on Rebecca's thinking about family relations had been particularly damaging because his apparent sophistication and financial expertise provided seemingly authoritative validation for attitudes that prioritized convenience and image management over family loyalty and intergenerational responsibility. The relationship dynamics that Daniel established with Rebecca consistently minimized the importance of family obligations and elderly care responsibilities, while maximizing focus on professional networking, lifestyle enhancement, and social positioning that demonstrated their material success and career advancement. Their conversations about family planning, financial management, and lifestyle optimization revealed systematic calculation about elderly care obligations that treated family support as budgetary line items rather than expressions of love and respect that maintained cultural continuity and provided meaning throughout life transitions and aging process. The influence operations that Daniel conducted to reshape Rebecca's understanding of success, family relationship, and social responsibility were sophisticated psychological manipulation techniques that exploited her natural ambition while systematically undermining her connection to cultural heritage, family value, and community involvement that had previously provided meaning and stability throughout her educational and professional development. His suggestions about optimizing family time, streamlining elderly care responsibility, and professionalizing financial support for aging relatives consistently reinforced Rebecca's growing impatience with family obligations that interfered with career networking and social advancement. The lifestyle changes that Daniel introduced into Rebecca's daily routine and social activities systematically prioritized image management, status demonstration, and social positioning over authentic relationship building, community involvement, and the kind of character development that enables people to succeed professionally while maintaining their moral foundation, and family connections that provide stability and meaning throughout economic transitions and life challenges. The social entertainment that Daniel organized consistently excluded elderly family members and focused on experiences that reinforced their identification with successful professional couples, rather than multi-generational family systems that valued wisdom and experience alongside innovation. The financial planning strategies that Daniel implemented for their household systematically prioritized lifestyle enhancement, status demonstration, and social positioning over family support, community contribution, the kind of intergenerational wealth building that enables families to provide security and opportunity across multiple generations. Their investment priorities, discretionary spending patterns, and charitable giving decisions consistently favored causes and organizations that enhanced their social status while reducing support for family members and community organizations that had previously received Rebecca's time, attention, and financial contribution. But perhaps the most destructive aspect of Daniel's influence was his systematic efforts to isolate Rebecca from family members and community connections that might challenge his values or question his priorities. His scheduling of important events that conflicted with family gatherings, his creation of social obligations that required Rebecca's attention during traditional family time, and his subtle criticism of cultural traditions and family customs represented coordinated strategy to weaken Rebecca's connection to her heritage while strengthening her dependence on his approval and social validation that positioned him as essential to her lifestyle management and professional success. As Daniel's influence over Rebecca's values and priorities became increasingly apparent through her changed behavior toward family gatherings, elderly care responsibility, and community involvement, I realized that the character assessment protocols that protected our trust fund operations from financial disruption would soon need to be applied to my own family members, whose transformation threatened not only their eligibility for continued trust fund support, also their access to the inheritance and financial security that had enabled their prosperity and social advancement throughout their professional development and lifestyle establishment in Southern California's competitive business market. The arrival of Rebecca Patterson at Mercy General Hospital's emergency department at 3:14 a.m. would provide the most comprehensive real-time documentation of character failure and family loyalty destruction that any ungrateful relative had ever demonstrated during genuine elderly medical crisis, creating irrefutable evidence that would justify the most severe financial consequences available through trust fund governance and inheritance restructuring that could transform comfortable assumptions about generational wealth into devastating education about respect, responsibility, and the reality that financial security requires demonstration of character worthy of continued family investment and support. The 27 minutes that had elapsed between the hospital's emergency notification and Rebecca's reluctant arrival provided additional character assessment data through her systematic delay tactics, continued resistance to family obligation, and the careful calculation of minimal effort that would satisfy legal requirements while avoiding genuine elderly support and medical advocacy during crisis that revealed authentic priorities and moral foundation unworthy of continued financial assistance or inheritance consideration. Rebecca's appearance in the emergency department waiting area demonstrated her complete disconnection from the gravity of genuine medical emergency and her systematic prioritization of personal image management over elderly care responsibility. She arrived wearing designer activewear that suggested interrupted leisure activities rather than urgent family crisis response, carrying her Louis Vuitton purse and iPhone in ways that emphasized her social status and professional success, while maintaining obvious irritation about sleep disruption and schedule interference that prevented focus on the elderly family member lying connected to cardiac monitoring equipment just beyond the registration desk. The conversation that Rebecca immediately initiated with emergency department registration staff revealed her fundamental misunderstanding of medical emergency protocols and her systematic attempts to minimize hospital involvement while expediting discharge procedures that would enable her to return home quickly without providing genuine elderly support or medical advocacy during crisis that tested family loyalty. Character development. Her approach to the registration desk demonstrated someone who viewed hospital visits and inconvenient administrative procedures rather than opportunities to provide loving care and emotional support for aging family members experiencing frightening medical emergency. I'm Rebecca Patterson, and I'm here about Margaret Hartwell. The nurse who called said she was having some kind of heart problem, but she has these anxiety episodes all the time and calls ambulances for attention. How long is this going to take? And can we just get her discharged so I can take her home? I have important meetings tomorrow and I can't stay here all night, dealing with another one of her dramatic medical episodes that turn out to be nothing serious. The systematic character assassination that Rebecca delivered to hospital staff, while her elderly mother lay in pain, just 50 feet away, provided comprehensive documentation of moral failure and elderly dehumanization that violated every principle upon which the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust had been established to support family members who demonstrated authentic caring and family loyalty during crisis situations that revealed fundamental character and values worthy of financial stewardship and inheritance consideration. The emergency department nurse, who guided Rebecca through patient visitation protocols, Jennifer Martin, demonstrated exactly the kind of professional compassion and elderly respect that justified the charitable contributions I had been making to Mercy General Hospital through anonymous donations that supported staff training, equipment, acquisition, and inpatient care programs that benefited community members who needed medical assistance during crisis situations that tested both healthcare systems and family support networks. Mrs. Patterson, your mother is experiencing a significant cardiac event with documented heart rhythm abnormalities and elevated cardiac enzymes that indicate heart muscle damage. This is not an anxiety attack or attention-seeking behavior. She's having a genuine heart attack that requires immediate family support and advocacy. She's been asking for you since she arrived, and she needs emotional support and medical decision assistance during her evaluation and treatment plan.
Jennifer's patient explanation and professional correction created additional character assessment opportunity that would reveal whether Rebecca possessed any capacity for crisis response, adaptation, and elderly respect when confronted with documented medical evidence of genuine emergency requiring family involvement and hospital advocacy during potentially life-threatening health crisis that tested fundamental family loyalty and moral foundation worthy of continued trust fund support and inheritance eligibility. Look, I don't know what kind of tests you people have been running, but my mother has been faking medical emergencies for years to get attention because she's lonely and bored in that senior living place. She probably convinced herself she was having chest pain because she ate something spicy or watched too much television before bed. Can't you just give her some antacid and call it a night? I really don't have time for another one of her dramatic hospital adventures. The continued dismissal of documented medical evidence, combined with systematic elderly dehumanization and medical professional disrespect, provided final confirmation of character deterioration that eliminated any possibility of continued trust fund support or inheritance consideration. Rebecca's complete inability to adapt her assumptions when confronted with professional medical assessment demonstrated moral inflexibility and family loyalty failure that justified immediate financial consequences and comprehensive trust fund restructuring. The moment that would provide the perfect opportunity for dramatic revelation and educational consequences occurred when Jennifer guided Rebecca into the emergency department treatment area, where I lay connected to cardiac monitoring equipment. IV medications providing pain relief while blood test results confirmed the extent of heart muscle damage that required immediate medical intervention and potential cardiac catheterization procedures that could prevent further heart damage and preserve long-term cardiac function. Rebecca's reaction to seeing her elderly mother connected to medical equipment and clearly experiencing genuine medical crisis would provide the ultimate test of character and family loyalty that would determine not only my immediate medical advocacy and recovery support, but also the financial security and inheritance eligibility that had been enabling her comfortable lifestyle for decades without her knowledge, appreciation, or acknowledgement of the sophisticated systems that made her prosperity possible. Oh, for God's sake, Mom, what have you done now? Are you seriously going to put me through another night of hospital drama because you're lonely and want attention? Do you have any idea how expensive these ambulance rides and emergency room visits are? And now I'm going to have to deal with insurance paperwork and medical bills because you couldn't just take some Tylenol and go back to sleep like a normal person. The cruel dismissal that Rebecca delivered while standing next to my hospital bed, speaking to her elderly mother who was experiencing genuine cardiac crisis with documented heart damage, provided irrefutable evidence of character failure that justified the most comprehensive financial consequences available through trust fund governance and inheritance elimination. Her complete lack of compassion, combined with financial burden resentment and systematic elderly dehumanization, demonstrated moral bankruptcy that eliminated any possibility of continued family financial support or inheritance consideration. But the moment that would trigger immediate revelation and devastating consequences occurred when Rebecca turned to Jennifer Martinez and delivered the statement that would cost her family their entire financial security and inheritance eligibility. I need you to understand something about my mother. She's just a dramatic old woman who calls 911 for attention because she doesn't belong in emergency rooms with actual sick people. She needs to stop wasting everyone's time and money with these fake medical crises, and I'm not going to enable her attention-seeking behavior anymore. The systematic character assassination, combined with public humiliation of elderly family member during genuine medical emergency, provided perfect justification for the comprehensive revelation that would educate Rebecca about hidden authority, financial dependence, and the reality that sometimes the people you dismiss as dramatic old women actually control the entire economic foundation that determines your housing, lifestyle, and financial security across generations of family prosperity and opportunity. The monitoring equipment connected to my cardiac assessment system had been documenting not only heart rhythm abnormalities and cardiac enzyme levels, but also comprehensive audio and video recording of family crisis response that would provide permanent documentation of character failure and elderly abuse that justified the most severe and consequences available through trust fund restructuring and inheritance elimination procedures designed to protect family assets from moral bankruptcy and elderly neglect. As I lay connected to medical equipment while experiencing genuine cardiac crisis, I made the decision to implement immediate revelation protocols that would educate Rebecca about respect, authority, and the consequences that follow when family financial security develops without character foundation and elderly respect that honored the wisdom and sacrifice that built generational wealth through decades of careful planning and resource management that enabled comfortable lifestyle and professional opportunity. The moment had arrived for systematic revelation that would transform Rebecca's comfortable assumptions about elderly irrelevance and financial entitlement into comprehensive education about hidden systems that determine housing access, lifestyle funding, and inheritance eligibility based on character demonstration and family loyalty that honored elderly wisdom while building community stability and intergenerational support, worthy of continued financial investment and generational wealth transfer. I said with the patient tone that elderly wisdom provides when adult children finally demonstrate readiness to understand consequences and character assessment. I think there might be some confusion about who's wasting money on medical care and who has the authority to determine financial support and inheritance eligibility in this family. The puzzled expression that crossed Rebecca's face revealed her growing awareness that my response suggested knowledge and authority that contradicted her assumptions about elderly limitations and financial dependency, while the attention that our conversation was attracting from medical staff created exactly the kind of public education opportunity that would ensure comprehensive community awareness of the lesson about respect and character that was about to unfold through systematic revelation of hidden financial authority and trust fund governance. What are you talking about, Mom? You're on Social Security and live in subsidized senior housing. You depend on family financial assistance for basic living expenses, and now you're creating expensive medical bills that someone has to pay. This whole dramatic hospital episode is going to cost thousands of dollars that could have been avoided if you had just taken some antacid and gone back to sleep instead of calling an ambulance for attention. The comfortable assumptions about financial dependency and elderly limitation Rebecca expressed while standing in a hospital emergency department provided perfect setup for the systematic revelation that would transform her understanding of family financial relationships and inheritance entitlement into devastating education about hidden authority and character-based wealth management that determined housing access, lifestyle funding, and generational prosperity based on demonstrated values and family loyalty, rather than blood relationship or legal obligation alone. Rebecca, dear, I replied with gentle correction that would begin her education about respect, authority, and financial reality. I think you should meet the real owner of your house, your children's education funding, and your family's financial security for the past 15 years. The silence that followed provided perfect documentation of the moment when comfortable assumptions about elderly dependency and inheritance entitlement collided with the reality of hidden financial authority and character-based wealth management that determined family support based on demonstrated value rather than assumed entitlement or convenient assumptions about generational obligation and elderly care responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced to the gathering of medical staff who had assumed they were witnessing routine family crisis management, my name is Margaret Hartwell, and I am the founder, principal owner, and CEO of the Hartwell Family Emergency Trust, a $127 million financial foundation that has been funding Rebecca's mortgage payments, her children's private school tuition, her family's medical insurance, and every aspect of her comfortable lifestyle for the past 15 years, while she assumed her prosperity reflected her own professional success, rather than systematic financial assistance from sources she never suspected or acknowledged. The comprehensive silence that greeted this announcement revealed the systematic shock that accompanies complete worldview destruction and the recognition that fundamental assumptions about financial relationships and family authority were entirely wrong. The medical staff, who had assumed that were managing routine elderly patient care, suddenly realized they were witnessing the systematic revelation of hidden wealth and family financial dependency that would transform comfortable assumptions about inheritance entitlement into devastating education about character requirements and elder respect, the comfortable lifestyle that enabled Rebecca to purchase her Corona Del Mar home. I continued while observing the growing horror on her face as the scope of her financial dependency became apparent, including the monthly mortgage assistance that she assumed reflected emergency family support, and the down payment funding that enabled her home purchase actually represents systematic trust fund benefits that require ongoing demonstration of family loyalty and elderly respect as conditions for continued financial support and inheritance eligibility. Rebecca's expression revealed her systematic processing of information that challenged every assumption about financial independence, professional success, and inheritance entitlement, while demonstrating her complete dependency on trust fund systems that required character demonstration, family loyalty, that she had systematically violated through elderly neglect and crisis response failure that threatened her continued eligibility for any form of financial support or inheritance consideration. Rebecca, sweetheart, I said with the patient explanation that elderly love provides when adult children finally demonstrate readiness to understand consequences and character development, the private school tuition that enables your children's educational opportunity, the comprehensive medical insurance that provides your family's healthcare coverage, and the emergency financial assistance that helped you through difficult periods all depend on continued compliance with character standards that require respect for elderly family members and demonstration of family loyalty that sustains trust fund mission and inheritance plan. The explanation that followed would complete Rebecca's education about financial dependency, character requirement, and the reality that sometimes the people you abandon during medical emergencies actually control the entire financial infrastructure that determines whether your family maintains housing, educational opportunity, and economic security or faces immediate financial independence and inheritance elimination that transforms comfortable assumptions about generational wealth into harsh reality about respect, responsibility, and family obligation. The character assessment protocols that determined your initial eligibility for trust fund benefits, I continued while medical staff observed Rebecca's systematic comprehension of her complete financial dependency, include ongoing monitoring of family relationship patterns, elderly care decisions, and crisis response indicators that document authentic caring versus convenient excuse-making during genuine medical emergencies, that test family loyalty and character development, worthy of continued financial support and inheritance consideration. The trust fund documentation that I retrieved from my purse and placed on the hospital bedside table provided immediate visual confirmation of the financial agreements, character requirements, and family standards that governed Rebecca's lifestyle funding and determined her continued eligibility for trust fund benefits and inheritance consideration based on demonstrated values rather than assumed entitlement or blood relationship alone. The systematic abandonment of elderly family members during medical emergencies, I explained while Rebecca's comfortable assumptions about financial security collapsed around her understanding of reality, represents exactly the kind of character failure that justifies immediate trust fund restructuring and inheritance elimination that protects family assets while providing education about respect, loyalty, and the moral foundation necessary for sustainable financial relationships and generational wealth stewardship. The trust fund coordinator who arrived 30 minutes later, Patricia Chen, whose character assessment reports had documented the escalating problems with Rebecca's elderly care, attitudes, and crisis response patterns, brought the official notice of trust fund benefit, suspension, and the financial independence transition that would provide Rebecca with comprehensive education about the difference between earned prosperity and gifted support that required ongoing care demonstration and family loyalty. Rebecca Patterson, Patricia announced to the gathering of shocked medical staff who were witnessing the most comprehensive lesson about character and financial consequences that any ungrateful family member had ever received. This notice initiates immediate suspension of all trust fund benefits, including mortgage assistance, educational funding, medical insurance coordination, and emergency financial support pending character assessment review that will determine your family's continued eligibility for any form of financial assistance or inheritance consideration based on demonstrated elderly respect and family loyalty. The mortgage suspension notice that arrived by secure courier 45 minutes later informed Rebecca that her housing payments would be terminated immediately, while the educational funding elimination notice removed her children's private school scholarships and college preparation assistance that had been enabling their academic advancement and social opportunity. The medical insurance cancellation eliminated their comprehensive health care coverage that had provided optimal medical care and emergency services that her family assumed reflected employer benefits rather than trust fund coordination and premium health care plan. The character rehabilitation program that I offered Rebecca as an alternative to immediate financial abandonment and permanent inheritance elimination provided her with opportunities to learn about respect, family loyalty, and the community values that sustained long-term financial security and family relationships through demonstrated character rather than assumed entitlement or convenient assumptions about elderly obligation and inheritance planning. The community service requirements included 20 hours monthly of direct assistance to elderly residents throughout Riverside County and surrounding communities,
providing her with practical experience in elderly care and respect that could rebuild her understanding of wisdom, dignity, and the valuable contributions that aging family members provide through guidance, support, and cultural knowledge that enriches family relationships and community development. The family relationship counseling component required weekly sessions with specialists in intergenerational communication and elderly care that could address the character failures that had threatened her financial security, while building skills in family loyalty and elderly respect that honored wisdom and experience, alongside professional achievement and material success that served both individual advancement, family prosperity. The financial literacy education obligations included comprehensive training in wealth management, inheritance planning, and the character requirements that govern generational wealth transfer to ensure that financial stewardship and family leadership reflected moral foundation worthy of trust fund governance and community responsibility that built sustainable prosperity across economic transitions and social changes. But perhaps the most significant consequence was the inheritance restructuring that redirected Rebecca's expected financial legacy to charitable organizations that support elderly care, family counseling, and character development programs throughout Southern California, ensuring that her previous inheritance entitlement contributes to community welfare, while teaching her that true prosperity requires demonstration of values and family loyalty, rather than simply assuming entitlement to generational wealth based on blood relationship or legal obligation. The story of how a cruel daughter learned that abandoning elderly family members during medical emergencies could cost her entire financial security and inheritance eligibility became the most expensive lesson about respect and family loyalty that any ungrateful relative had ever received. Sometimes the most powerful education you can provide manipulative family members is comprehensive understanding that elderly wisdom and financial authority aren't optional conveniences that disappear when they become inconvenient for personal schedules and lifestyle priorities. Rebecca's assumption that she could dismiss me as a dramatic old woman during genuine cardiac emergency transformed into the devastating recognition that she was the one whose entire lifestyle depended on financial systems she had never suspected. The elderly mother she abandoned at the hospital during heart attack turned out to control not just her housing and lifestyle, but her children's education and her family's entire economic future, teaching her that respect for aging family members isn't just moral obligation, it's practical necessity for anyone who wants to maintain financial security and inheritance eligibility in families where character determines prosperity and elderly wisdom guides generational wealth management. Medical crisis that Rebecca assumed represented attention-seeking behavior actually became the character assessment that revealed her moral bankruptcy and justified comprehensive financial consequences that transformed comfortable assumptions about inheritance entitlement into harsh education, respect, loyalty, and family obligation during crisis situations that test authentic caring versus convenient excuse-making when elderly relatives need support and advocacy. In the months that followed, Rebecca's attempts to rebuild family relationships and demonstrate character development might qualify her for limited trust fund benefits, provided ongoing education about the difference between convenient performance and authentic character change that honors elderly wisdom while building family loyalty worthy of financial stewardship and inheritance consideration, demonstrated values, rather than desperate attempts to regain financial support after consequences, reveal the importance of family relationships and elderly respect. The financial independence that Rebecca experienced after trust fund benefit elimination provided comprehensive education about the actual cost of housing, education, healthcare, and lifestyle maintenance that she had been taking for granted, while assuming her comfort reflected professional success rather than systematic family support that required character demonstration and elderly respect that honored the wisdom and sacrifice that built generational wealth through decades of careful planning and resource management. Remember, family financial security and inheritance eligibility built on genuine character and intergenerational respect, create foundations for lasting prosperity and authentic achievement, while elderly neglect and crisis abandonment destroy not only family bonds, but also the moral foundation necessary for sustainable financial relationships and generational wealth transfer that honors wisdom and experience alongside innovation and individual advancement, that serves collective family welfare and community prosperity across generations. The lesson that Rebecca learned at Mercy General Hospital that November night would echo through her remaining years: respect for elderly family members during medical emergencies isn't just about compassion, it's about recognizing that the people who seem most vulnerable often possess the authority to determine your entire financial future. That true family security comes from character worthy of elderly approval, rather than assumptions about inheritance entitlement that disappear when crisis reveals authentic priorities, and moral foundation that determines whether you deserve continued family support or comprehensive financial independence, that teaches harsh lessons about respect, loyalty, and the reality that generational wealth requires generational character worthy of the wisdom and sacrifice that built family prosperity through decades of careful planning and elderly guidance that young people ignore at their own devastating financial peril. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.